everybody! Welcome to the first edition of Art at Home. My name is Christina, and this is our co-host Erica, who will be looking and thinking along with us today. Hey Erica, how you doing?
Good. I'm doing great at home. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good at home too. We're all doing our best. And how's everybody else doing? I would love for you all to get a chance to say your names now as well. So I'm going to count to 3, and I want you all to say your names out loud at the same time. Is everybody ready? Awesome. I'm very glad that you're all here. Do you know what? We have people from all over Canada that are joining us today. So I work with families at the Vancouver Art Gallery. Eric and I have the very cool job of looking at artworks with families and talking about them so we can learn more together. We get to learn very interesting and wonderful things about the incredible lives of artists. Since we can't be together at the art gallery right now, here we are together on screens, on Zoom. Has anyone used Zoom before? Erica, have you?
Not really.
Okay, me too. I'm kind of getting used to it. So I'm probably going to make some mistakes. I'm learning as we go, just like we all are. So first, something I want to do is show you how we can use Zoom. See how I'm learning? Showing how to use Zoom.
Take your time.
Oh, okay.
Everyone is saying hello to it.
Hello, everybody. We're so excited to see you. We're so excited you could come and join us today. Okay, here we go. We got the image here. So does everyone see that green circle that I have here? So it's circling something called chat. And if you see that on your screen, you can click on it and you can type in, maybe you want to type in your name, or later on, you can type in answers to questions or comments that you have about what we're talking about. Sound good? All right. Thanks, Erica. So we're all going to get to use some ideas and get creative energy today by looking closely at some amazing artworks. We're going to use our imaginations to create our own stories about them. And then I'm going to show you some ideas about how we can make our own artwork inspired by what we see. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to the artist Shuvinai Ashoona. She pulls us into a world of imagination and stories as we look at her artworks. To look at Ashoona's work is to discover, and the longer you look, the more you see. There are always things hiding. No matter how many times I look at one of her drawings, I still always see something new. Shuvinai Ashoona combines her imagination, real animals, her environment, and creatures from movies and TV all together to tell fantastical stories by drawing them. Sometimes she tells stories within stories by drawing pictures within pictures. So, who is ready to enter the world of Shuvinai Ashoona? First, I want to show you where Shuvinai Ashoona lives and works. She was born in a place called Kinget in Nunavut, that's way up north in the Arctic. It's so cold there that Ashoona uses pencil crayons to create art because paints would freeze. Ashoona is a third-generation artist. That means her grandparents and parents and even cousins and sisters are all artists. Do you want to see what Kinniget looks like?
Yes, Nia said ready.
Oops. Now we're going to show you, again, what Kinniget looks like. Kinniget is a town surrounded by tundra. Tundra is a snow-covered area of land like the Arctic. It's so cold that trees can't even grow. It looks like this. Often Ashoona creates backgrounds in her artworks that are inspired by the rocky tundra. So let's think about, we're going to see ways that Shuvinai Ashoona is using this for inspiration later on in her artworks. And Shuvinai Ashoona is an Inuit, or we could say an Inuk person. Inuit people have lived in the Arctic for over 4,000 years. Inuit are indigenous people. Do you know what indigenous means? It means the first people that ever lived in Canada. Did you know that the Vancouver Art Gallery was built on indigenous land? It's on the lands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. We're going to look at some of Ashoona's artwork today to learn more about her incredible imagination, how she's inspired by where she lives as well as her Inuit culture. One of the most important Inuit beliefs is that everything in the universe is connected. We'll see how Ashoona shows this knowledge and belief system in her artworks. Do you want to play a game? It's a memory game. Do you want to play, Erica?
Yes, for sure. Everyone
I'm
said yes too.
All right, everyone else said yes. Great. I'm going to set a timer for 30 seconds, and we are all going to look carefully at one of Shuvinai Ashoona's artworks. Look closely in every corner of the image. After 30 seconds, we're going to close our eyes and list all of the things that we remember seeing. When you're looking at the artwork, you can think about who are the characters in this drawing? What are they doing? And how are they connected to each other? Okay. Are you ready? 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 Go.
Not this picture, I think. Yeah, there you go.
Take a look. Every corner. 30 seconds, everybody. Okay. Stop.
That was so fast.
That was fast? You thought it was fast? I thought, okay, there's so much to look at. Okay, so before you forget, close your eyes and list all of the things you remember. Ready? Go. Okay. I'm going to try and list everything I remember. I remember, okay, a guy who's in a kind of a blue jacket. It's pulled right around his face, wearing mittens. I remember some tentacles and some like circles, like that looked like the world, like a globe, a picture of the world from outer space. Erica, what did you notice or remember?
I remember the purple tentacles had feet, and then also Leeds said blue color, Carolina said planets, Kathleen said blue toenails, and then yeah, more things coming up.
That is very cool because I didn't notice the blue toenails. Do you know what? Maybe what we should do is take a look at our image again and see what else we noticed. Every time we look at an artwork and then we look at it again, we always see more and more things. All right, let's check that out. Okay, oh, I see the blue toenails now, and I see the tentacles, but now I'm also seeing it as, because Erica talked about the legs and someone talked about the toenails, we also see these globes, and this big globe looks almost like a head. And then I see globes on globes on globes all connected, and they even look like arms and fingers and maybe even have claws on top of them.
Oh, also, Patricia saw a little person in a white coat carrying a gun.
Oh, interesting. Now, let's go back and take a look at that. Aha, this right here maybe is what Trisha saw. Now, because we know a little bit about Shuvinai Ashoona and her Inuit culture, we're going to talk about this more too. It looks like that person might be doing some hunting. So looking for food that they can use and eat. Inuit people, like we mentioned, live off the land in many different ways. Okay, so now we've looked closely at the image. We've kind of played this memory game. We talked about things that we saw. Do you want to talk about the way that Shuvinai Ashoona makes her artworks? Remember what I said she used to create her artworks?
Pencil crayon.
Ah, pencil crayons. Erica, good memory. Let's take a look at these images of how she's using those pencil crayons. What do you notice? Erica, anything that you notice about how she's drawing, how she uses her pencil crayons?
Madison actually said she's laying down.
Aha, she's laying down on her belly. Does anyone else ever do that to create gigantic artworks? You want the
Yeah,
paper to
Patricia,
so big?
Patricia said it's a huge scale.
Aha,
on
scale,
paper.
scale. That's an excellent word to think about. That tells us how big a drawing is, so, or any artwork is. So we looked at that first one and we looked at that image, but on a screen you can't tell how big it is. But now we can see that they're even bigger than Shuvinai Ashoona. So do you want to see another Shuvinai Ashoona artwork? We've seen a little bit about how she works. Take a look at this artwork. How about we look at it with another game? It's a seeking game. Does everybody want to try? We're going to take a look at this artwork and we're going to look very, very closely, and I'm going to give you 3 clues. First, find an animal that you recognize. Everybody take a look.
Oh, Carla found it.
Okay. Now look
Gabriella
closely.
said Wallace.
A walrus. It looks like a walrus. I see that too, the big tusks. Absolutely.
Lisa said seal. I think it's Annabelle.
Seal. Well, I see flippers kind of over here. So I think of a seal as well.
Yeah.
Now, how about looking for a creature that looks like it's from an imagined world? Something from someone's imagination. Okay. Now, find something that seems to be hiding. Something you think no one else. Look really, really closely.
Gabriella said snake with fingers. Carly said dinosaur. Ala said dragon. A foot by Ali and Carla.
So can you believe that everyone is seeing such totally different things? We all are looking and using our own imaginations to see. What I found was something from every day. A fish. I found something from a creature from another world, and I named him a slidey legger. He looks long and slippery and has these long legs. I also found something that I bet nobody else saw, and it's because it's the same color as the rocks. We see these rocks all over, repeated again and again. But look at this. It kind of looks like the head of a bear. Look at these ears here. So, okay. Unless anyone else has any other ideas that they want to share.
Me. I saw a heart. Also, Beatrice saw a heart too. I saw a heart was walking.
You did. Let's go back to this image. Aha, I see a little heart walking too in the very bottom corner. Fantastic. Okay. Now let's think about those questions to kind of see what's going on here and learn more about what Shuvinai Ashoona is wanting to share with us. So let's think about who are the characters here and what are they doing? And then how are they connected? So these people, like someone mentioned, they're cutting a seal that was hunted and they're getting it ready to eat and use in many ways. Inuit and many northern cultures use the whole seal to eat, to give them nourishment and make warm clothes. Did you notice these repeated lines up here at the top of the corner of the drawing? They could be. Has anyone ever gone camping before? Hey, Erica, do you like camping?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of. Okay, good answer. Me too.
Everyone says yes.
Everyone else said yes?
Yeah.
Here's where we're looking. Take a look, a closer look. Can you tell what they are? These are actually the ropes that are holding up a tent. So traditionally, Inuit lived off the land. They lived off the land's natural resources. Inuit traveled by dog sled to hunt for food and lived in tents, like we see here. Nowadays, Inuit still live off the land and hunt fish and other animals, but there are also grocery stores and skidoos for travel and many different kinds of homes in Tlingit, like we saw in the pictures I showed you earlier. So Shuvinai Ashoona, she's not always traditional. When she was young, her and her sisters would hunt and camp as a family in Tlingit. Ashoona and most people in Tlingit speak English and Inuktitut. Have you ever heard of that? Tlingit means big mountain in Inuktitut. Do you want to hear Shuvinai Ashoona speak in her own language about how her and her sister would camp with their father when they were little? What does everyone think?
Everyone wants to hear the sound of how Shuvinai talks. Sure, yes, yes.
What did you think? Have you ever heard anyone speak Inuktitut before?
There is a question from Arnev. Is she alive?
Is Shuvinai Ashoona alive? Does anybody know? Shuvinai Ashoona is alive. She was born in, I want to say 1961, and she was born and she still lives in Kenya. Are there any other questions that anyone wanted to share? We can take a look. I'm sure there's so many messages I can see right here.
Oh, there is one question. Carly asks, where does she live now?
She still lives in Kenya, way, 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 way up north in the Arctic. Do you know it's like 38,000 miles, kilometers, sorry, away from Vancouver. Really, really far away. So, does anyone want to look at like maybe another Shuvinai Ashoona artwork? Okay. When we look at this artwork, we're going to think about how we can tell a story about it. We're going to think about what are the main characters. We're going to think about what are they doing? And we are going to think about how are they showing us that? How's she showing us that they're all connected? Okay. So we're going to do something here. Erica and I are going to make up a story, and we're going to think about who are the characters, what are they doing, and how are they connected. And we're just going to make it up right now, and then you can do that too. But we'll do this first, and then we'll talk about what you can do as well. Are you ready, Erica?
Yes.
Okay. Once upon a time, there was a boy with big brown shoes. They looked actually even more like boots, and he had a yellow hat and a brand new white coat with a special hood. He was walking along one day, and he tripped, and he fell, and he looked up, and he thought, what did I just trip on? This is a pile of, I can't even tell. He looked around, and he looked around, and then
he found a salmon on top of a seal, on top of a polar bear, on top of a bear. And then he all of a sudden grabbed someone else's hand because he really surprised. And then that person had,
he couldn't even tell. He had to look closer and closer and closer. And it looked like the person had that special green coat and another face inside of the coat. And that person reached out and grabbed something slimy. And he felt that this wasn't really just a person. This was a creature. And this creature, as he looked up, had a giant horn and was purple. And that creature tried to get away and jump around, but he couldn't because he was tied to everybody else that were holding hands. So the creature turned around in a circle, and then
he just got caught by one person who wear a gray coat. That person had another baby on top of her, and then she was holding a hand with one other person, but that person didn't look like had a really funny face with a yellow tongue. And then
someone started laughing, a really deep kind of growly laugh. And everybody looked up, and it was the bear. The bear was getting his ear tickled by a creature with a long yellow tongue and also wearing the same boots that other people were wearing. And the bear laughed so hard that all of the animals fell off of him and headed back to their homes. And everybody had a nice day in their homes, like we will too. What do you think of that, Erica?
That was fun.
What does everyone else think of our story? Okay, so now you can get a chance, if you like, to tell your own story looking at the characters in this artwork. It'll be totally different than what Erica and I just made up. Or
like commenting, it was cool story, it was nice story, interesting.
Thank you. We should be storytellers then, Erica. But you know what? Not everybody wants to tell stories with words. Some people want to use their bodies, and they want to use things around their house to tell stories in totally different ways. And someone has inspired me to think about this. And his name is Thomas. And Thomas looked at Shuvinai Ashoona artworks, and he thought about how he could use his body to pose like some of the creatures and animals that he saw, or use things from around his house to pile together to tell his own story. So that's also something that you can do. So we'll take a look at this work for just a minute, and then we're going to talk about creating our own artwork, and again, how Shuvinai Ashoona uses those pencil crayons. So I'm going to leave it on this for just a few minutes so you can get a chance to look closely. Think about who are the characters, what are they doing, and how are they all connected?
Can we look at the picture actually, Christina, fully?
Yes, you can.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Does anyone want to share the title of their story?
There is a question though. Do you want to answer that when we are waiting for the titles?
Of course.
Oh, can we see the picture back?
Of course.
Thank you. So there is a question, where does she buy the big pieces of paper and colors for Gabriella?
Do you know what? That is an excellent question. Kinnegate is really, really far up north, like we talked about. So there's not a lot of just, art stores. Like we can go to Desserts, or we can go to Michael's or Opus and buy our art supplies. So supplies are actually often shipped from Toronto. And it was only till about 2005, not that long ago, that really, really large rolls of paper were shipped up to Kinnegate. Because before that, they were smaller pieces of paper, and they were used in printing presses. So they're shipped often from places in Toronto. Places in Toronto like Dorset Fine Arts sell Shuvinai Ashoona's artworks when she ships the artworks back to them.
There's some titles.
Okay.
Okay, Nora said come together. Erin said the circle of the words. Lee said holding hands. Nancy said circle of life. There is another holding hands by Madison. Sherry said connection.
Connection, nice. So we definitely see how everyone's thinking about that holding of hands and everybody connecting together. We saw Thomas here. So now I want us to think about, thank you so much for those wonderful suggestions, and thank you all for your patience as Eric and I are learning about Zoom. So now let's take a look at one last Shuvinai Ashoona artwork. And I want to look at this because I want to think about those different ways that she's using her pencil crayons. So first of all, one of the ways that she uses her pencil crayons is she creates thick outlines, just like we see on the polar bear's head here. And we can also see how she goes back and forth with her pencil crayon to create almost like a shape. We get a shape or a form of the bear's head. And here we see this just the same thing in that walrus. We see that shape of the head by the back and forth of the pencil crayons. Even here on the eyebrows, and we get an up close there of what's happening with her eye. We see that back and forth again in the hair. But here we can see with the nose and mouth how she's really layering to build the color with her pencil crayons. So here in this darker part, what she probably did, or what you can do, is you can just push harder and harder and harder to get darker and darker colors to start to create shape and form. Also look at the lips, how she's using the lines to go up and down to create some shape and form. So here we can see how she's also using patterns. And I don't know if you recognize anything here that maybe you've seen in some other Shuvinai Ashoona artworks that we saw today. Okay, let's look at this image again. I'm going to, well, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I did a drawing that was inspired by this artwork. And sometimes the hardest part about drawing is knowing where to start. And that's why it's great. All artists look at other artists to get ideas. And I'm going to start and take some of my ideas and inspiration from this image, because what stands out to me is the face of this character. So as a starting point, if you'd like to do a drawing too, think about what really stands out to you. And then how can you use that, but then add your own ideas. You can think about what will the characters be in your story or in your drawing. You can think about what are they doing and how they are all connected. So if you like, you can use your pencil crayons now, or maybe you just want to watch and see how I'm doing my drawing. And then later on, when one of the creatures from Shuvinai Ashoona's artworks jump into your mind, you can do your drawing then. All right. Does everyone want to see my drawing? I thought about all these things, but I was also inspired by Shuvinai Ashoona because she says, this pencil just draws, and she doesn't sketch, and she doesn't even plan what it's going to look like. At the end, she just pours her imagination right out onto the paper. So I tried to do that as well.
Everyone wants to see your picture.
Can you see it? Okay, I talked about it enough. Okay, so I was really inspired. I love that shape of the nose that Ashoona did, so I started there, starting to kind of just, like I said, that face part. Now, I didn't really like part of the nose, so I just, instead of erasing, I just drew over it. We're always making mistakes, but you can always just draw right over. You can see how the eyebrows, I started kind of turning into caterpillar-like creatures. And then I wanted to think about things from my everyday life, like Shuvinai Ashoona does. I think about these dandelions. I don't know if anyone else sees them. I see them all the time on our walks, and their seeds are flying into the wind. And I thought about, okay, I want this to be kind of a person, but also a creature from my imagination. So I added a claw. And then I was thinking about, okay, what are some things from my environment? We have a lot of water where we live here in Vancouver. I also grew up close to a river called the Black River in Ontario. And so I have even a little fish jumping out. Now I thought about the eyes. How can I use a symbol in the eyes? I had a light bulb. If you look now, see how I added a light green color and then added a darker one on the side? It's a different color, but to get that richer color, I just pushed harder and harder. You can see how with the lips, I went up and down like Shuvinai Ashoona did. And now here you can see those lighter areas that I'm coloring in this orange face. And then you can see where I've pushed harder to kind of give it a shape and a form. And on the cheeks and chin, I even worked in kind of like a circle around and around to give it that, like I said, shape and form. So I wanted it to, oh yeah, and then I went back and forward on the eyelids. I didn't really like the eyes. I thought she looked a bit too surprised. So I added eyelids. Again, you can always change your artworks. Then I didn't really like the eyelids. Now I think maybe she looks a bit sleepy, but I could even change that again too. I could maybe put sunglasses on her. You could always change what you're drawing. So I didn't quite get to finish my artwork, but what I did was I just added kind of an extra outline here. You can see this dark outline, so you could see how I'm using some other things that inspired me by Shuvinai Ashoona. I still have so much blank space here, or we call it negative space, where I can fill in so many different creatures or ideas, or maybe things from my life in the background. And also these little guys here, I kind of want them to fly off the dandelion and turn into little creatures all of their own. So I'm going to guess that you probably didn't draw as fast as that.
Everyone is asking, can we draw? Can we supposed to draw?
Of course you can draw. You can draw, and you can continue your drawing, and you can build on it and add more and more and more and more. And that's one of the wonderful things. Just like looking at Shuvinai Ashoona's artworks, there's always more and more. You can always add more and more and more to your artworks. So, Erica, that was pretty fun. What did you think?
It was really, really fun. I loved your drawings too.
You did like it? Oh, thank you. Well, you know what, everybody? I want you to get going on your own drawings. And like I said, it takes so long to do pencil crayon drawings that I want you to you can take the whole day, you can take the whole week if you want to. But I just wanted to kind of inspire you in the way that Shuvinai Ashoona has inspired me. So Erica and I are going to have to go soon. But does anyone else have any questions or ideas that we haven't answered yet?
There is one question.
Yeah.
Do you know whether she traveled to get her ideas?
That is an excellent question that I do not know the answer to. I know that, like we learned, she would go hunting with her dad and her sisters when she was really little. She said she was really little when she did that. I know that she's traveled to Toronto where that's where she was when we saw the interview at an art gallery that was showing her work. But I love that idea because a lot of times we travel to get our ideas from different places. With Shuvinai Ashoona, we see she really travels inside of her own imagination. Well, you know what? I think what we'll do, Eric and I are going to say goodbye. But we are so honored that you wanted to join us today. And you know what? Every Sunday, the gallery will share a different art making activity, inspiration from the exhibitions and artworks from the permanent collection. So you can visit the gallery's website and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to learn more and more and to take part. And we'll be back with Art at Home Live every other Wednesday. So 2 weeks from now. So I'll see you here. Well, I won't see you. We'll be here together. We can connect. And we're going to hear about the incredible life of one of my favorite artists, Carol Itter, and what she had to do to finally get her husband the musical instrument he always wanted. Save up your toilet paper rolls and other cardboard materials. And if you're excited to get more involved with the Vancouver Art Gallery, you can think about getting a family membership. Membership support makes programs like Art at Home possible. So for more information, check out the website. It was so great to learn and imagine and create along with you. Thank you again, everybody.
Thank you. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.